Hi, I'm David Boje, and I want to introduce you to what I call the energy centers of leadership. I think there's 7 energy keys that open these doors if you can get through your own rusty locks and get into them. And that takes meditation and practice. And I learned it from Gurudev Shree Chitrabhanu. And you can get the book yourself, The Psychology of Enlightenment, Meditations on the 7 Energy Centers. So I am into Jainism since I met Grace Ann Rosile, right? It's a practice in India. And Gurudev was teaching me the Sanskrit words for these energy centers, and gave me my name, Arihanta, which I thought meant conqueror of inner enemies. And I meditated on it every day for an hour for 10 years. And I went back to him and said, hey, I'm getting tired of meditating on my inner enemies. It's kind of depressing. And he says, hey, Arihanta doesn't mean that, David. It means everyone is your friend. You have no enemies. And I said, what? He said, yes, I'm teaching you the original Sanskrit of the word Arihanta and these other words for the energy centers. And I know you're an educator and a leader, and this will help you. These 7 energy centers, what I call the 7 keys of leadership energy. So enjoy the video, and I know that you tune into your own energy. I know that you walk in a room and you can sense the energy of the room, of the people there, or you walk into a part of your world environment and you step on a goat head and you get a shock of that energy as those spines enter your body. Okay, so this is about that. And it's one of the things we do at Growth OD is we're very into understanding our own energies, the energies of the world that we're in, what I call the world of being. All right, enjoy the video.
Right. Today we are jumping into a really unique way of looking at leadership. It's a framework from Dr. David Michael Boje, and it's all about an inward journey. We're going to use 7 simple questions to unlock what he calls our 7 energy centers. So let's get started.
So let's start right where Dr. Boje does, with a question for you. Seriously, take a second and think about this. Do you feel your own inner energy? That feeling, that sense, that's the foundation for everything we're about to unpack. It's the start of a personal journey into what leadership is really all about.
Okay, so what you're seeing here gets to the heart of the problem we all have. Every single second, our brains are getting hit with millions of bits of information. It's impossible to process it all. So what do? We use what Dr. Boje calls a story filter. It basically takes this giant, chaotic flood of reality and narrows it down into a story that makes sense to us. But, and this is a big but, that story is not the whole truth, not by a long shot.
And this number is just wild. The theory says that 99.9% of all the sensory information coming at you gets filtered out. It never even reaches your conscious mind. So the reality you think you're living in, the story you tell yourself about who you are and what's going on, it's all built on just a tiny, tiny sliver of what's actually out there. Your filter just makes up the rest to keep the story going.
To get a handle on this, Dr. Boje gives us 2 ideas: story seeds. Think of these as little pieces of raw, unfiltered reality, just pure experience. Then there's the story filter. That's the part of your mind that acts like a bouncer, picking which seeds get in, which get ignored, and even twisting some of them to fit the story you're already telling. You can see how a leader who doesn't know about their own filters could get seriously stuck, right? They'd be making huge decisions based on a totally incomplete picture.
So how do we get better at this? How do we start to see a little more of that unfiltered reality? Well, this is where the 7 W's come into play. Dr. Boje calls them 7 keys, and each one is meant to open up a rusty lock on one of our core energy centers. And believe me, the order here is really, really important. Let's grab that first key.
First up, the who key. And no, this is not about your job title or what it says on your business card. This is about your deep, spiritual character, your most authentic self. The rusty lock here is that fake, superficial mask we all sometimes wear. When you really figure out your true who, you ground yourself in something solid, something real. This whole process connects straight to your root chakra, which is the foundation of your entire being. It's all about feeling secure in your true self. And to really bring this home, Dr. Boje shares his own who. His given names, David Michael Boje, actually translate to Beloved Archangel Buoy. Later in life, he was given another name, Arihunta, which he learned means you have no enemies. You see, these aren't just labels to him. They are his who. They're a compass, a constant reminder of his core identity. It's such a powerful way to anchor your leadership in something personal and profound.
Okay, the second key is what. And this one is a major perspective shift. The rusty lock is thinking of yourself as just one single separate person. The key is to realize you're actually a superorganism. You are a walking, talking community of trillions of living cells, all working together. When you start to embrace that incredible teeming aliveness inside you, you tap right into the sacral chakra, your center for creativity and raw potential. It's about feeling the life force of the whole colony that is you.
So this kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it? If you are this complex superorganism, this living ecosystem, then what are you feeding it? What energies are you letting in? Think about the people, the places, the information you're around all day. Is it helping your ecosystem thrive, or is it basically pollution?
The third key, when, completely messes with our normal idea of time. So many of us get stuck in this one straight-line story of our past, a story that our filters have bent way out of shape. The key here is to see time as more fluid, more flexible. You can actually restory your past by focusing on what Dr. Boje calls little wow moments, these little flashes of insight and potential. When you reclaim your own story, you take back your power, and that fires up the solar plexus, your center for self-expression and will.
And here is just an incredibly powerful example from Dr. Boje's own life. He was facing terminal cancer. But instead of seeing it as just the end of his timeline, he completely reframed his relationship with it. He found a way to be grateful for the lessons his cancer cells were teaching him. He restoried that when, and he turned a moment of absolute crisis into a source of unbelievable power and, you know what? Healing.
Moving on to where. This one reminds us that leadership never happens in a vacuum. It's always tied to a place. The rusty lock is just completely ignoring your environment. The key is to truly understand and care for the place where you live and work. This deep connection to your where and everything in it is what opens up the heart chakra. It lets you find a sense of love and compassion for every living thing that shares that space with you.
Dr. Boje has this perfect metaphor for this from his ranch in New Mexico, the goathead weed. It's this nasty, invasive plant that, if you don't do anything about it, will just take over and kill everything else. For him, a goathead leader is someone who just doesn't care about their place, and they let toxic stuff spread and ruin the whole environment. It's such a clear picture of how a leader's awareness of their where directly impacts the health of their entire team or community.
The fifth key is a big one. Why? This is your fundamental purpose, what he calls your wisdom motive. The rusty lock is when we just sort of absorb the whys from our parents or our company or society without ever stopping to figure out our own why. But when you find your personal why, everything changes. You get this clarity and this courage to speak your truth, and that naturally opens up the throat chakra, which is the source of your authentic voice. And this leads to a pretty tough question for all of us. Think about your own leadership voice. Is it kind of fading out because it's not hooked into a deep personal why, or is it getting stronger, clearer, becoming a voice of real wisdom because it's coming from a place of true purpose? Okay, next we've got the with key. This gets to the very core of leadership, which is all about relationships. It's about that web of connections we're all a part of. The key is to be an active, caring participant in that web, not just a bystander. And the rusty lock? It's tribalism, favoring your in-group and making an enemy out of the out-group. Getting past that kind of division takes real insight, real intuition, which is why unlocking with helps you connect to your third eye chakra, your center for wisdom and mindfulness.
This piece of wisdom, wow, it's just so important. It says that before you speak, before you even act in a relationship, your energy has to be coming from a place of love and connection, what he calls love with. And if it's not, it's better to just be quiet. That is a serious check on our intentions as leaders.
And that brings us to the seventh and final key, wish. Now, this is not about wishing for a promotion or a bigger house.
The key here is a deep, spiritual desire for your own true self and all living things to thrive and be fully alive. It's a selfless wish that goes way beyond the ego. And when you can connect to that, you open up the crown chakra, your gateway to a higher spiritual consciousness, to that feeling of being one with everything.
So here we are at the ultimate question for any leader. What's really driving you? Where does your ambition come from? Is your deepest wish really about your ego? Getting more power, more money, more fame? Or is it coming from somewhere deeper? A wish to actually contribute to a sense of oneness, of shared well-being for everyone? So when you put it all together, what this framework really gives you is a path. It's a choice between two ways of being. On one side, you've got that goat head perspective, a leader who's stuck, always reacting, trapped by their own filters, and probably pretty inauthentic. But on the other side, by working through these 7 W's, you can cultivate a totally new perspective, aware, authentic, expansive, and deeply, deeply interconnected. Look, this isn't just some abstract theory. It's a real, practical guide for getting to know yourself better. So as we wrap this up, the question isn't for me, it's for you. As you look at these 7 keys, who, what, when, where, why, with, and wish, which rusty lock in your own life, which one are you going to try to open first?